Thank you for the reminder. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to council meeting for Bruderheim, Wednesday, February 1st. Would someone from council be willing to read the acknowledgement? Councillor Wayne.
Today, I acknowledge that the town of Bruderheim is located on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis Nation of Alberta. The town of Bruderheim honors the first peoples of this land. We recognize that we stand upon the land that carries the footsteps of Cree, Métis, and Blackfoot, amongst other nations who have been here for thousands of years. Therefore, the town of Bruderheim has an inherent responsibility to foster healthier relationships with First Peoples and further the calls to action as outlined by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. So we'll call this meeting to order at 7:02. Is there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Okay, is there anything from council? Okay, call for someone to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented then. Councillor Dana.
I motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Dana. Any comments, questions, or concerns with that motion on the agenda? Haven't heard none. We'll call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So we can move on to the proclamation for Pink Shirt Day proclamation. I'm not sure if I have a copy of the proclamation. Thank you. Appreciate that. So I'll read the proclamation. Pink Shirt Day proclamation. Whereas the act of bullying, discrimination, harassment, and intimidation is a concern in our schools, workplaces, home, and over the internet, as statistics show that 1 in 5 kids are affected by bullying, and whereas communities are being encouraged to wear something pink to symbolize that we as a society will not tolerate bullying anywhere, and whereas Pink Shirt Day highlights our commitment to make our community safe and inclusive, and whereas Pink Shirt Day is an opportunity to actively promote kindness and respect and encourages us to be kind and lift each other up, therefore, I, Carl Huck, Mayor of the town of Bruderheim, hereby proclaim February 22nd, 2023, Pink Day in the town of Bruderheim. So we'll sign this document February 1st, 23. And we need a motion to accept the proclamation. With someone from council, Councillor George.
As presented.
Thank you, Councillor George. Any comments, questions, or concerns with that motion? Just one comment. Hopefully you find your pink shirt and wear it on February 22nd when you go to work or to school or wherever you are that day. And if there's no other comments, questions, or concerns with that motion, I'll call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So the next order of business is a motion for adopting the minutes of the last meeting of council. Would someone be willing to make that motion? Councillor Ashley.
I motion to adopt minutes from January 18th to 2023 regular meeting of council.
Thank you, Councillor Ashley. Any comments, questions, or concerns with the minutes from the last council meeting? Everybody's had a chance to read it. Okay, I'll call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Now we can move on to number 7, council priorities, 7.1 information request. And we'll start with Deputy Mayor Judy.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Dana.
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Len.
I was at a landfill meeting last week and I brought up I think we were misinformed or not realizing they account for every pound of garbage that comes in there from every citizen of Bruderheim. So any pound that just goes in there, we are billed for it. Town gets the billing. All the people who do go to the landfill, they have to give their name and their address. And at the same point that they bill everybody. So there's no missed tonnage, period.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Len. Is that in relation to?
You guys told me. Guys didn't. They didn't catch all the garbage.
So, Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Filardo, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear on that. What I'm saying is they don't track. So when you bring something besides household garbage, so if you bring very large piece of tin or something like that, they don't, because you have to pay extra for that stuff, right? So that's what she was telling me. When you're paying for bringing stuff that's outside of normal waste, then they don't track where you're from because you're paying for it. Yeah, so sorry, that's what I meant when I was talking about that. My apologies.
Thank you for that clarification, CAO Pat. Any other, okay, Councillor Wayne,
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Ashley,
I just want, nothing at this time.
thank you, Councillor Ashley. Councillor George,
Nothing at this time.
okay, and what do we, oh, so we're at information request. I did have one thing that I wanted to bring forward is, I know that certain light bulbs, when they start malfunctioning or they're about to burn out, they'll start flashing. And I noticed the light over top of the furthest north bay, the light is flashing, so that one's about to burn out. I just wanted to bring that up. And so information requests were done. Program requests, we'll start with Councillor George. Any program requests?
Nothing at this time. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Ashley.
I just want to share some information when I attended the Bruderheim School Council meeting in regards to before and after school care. So that's something that the principal is strongly trying to get rolling. Hopefully, so when the school comes back after summer break, that they will be able to offer this. They're looking at having it in the school facility and running on only days that the school is running regular school hours, so spring break, stuff like that wouldn't be operating at those times. And then this way they're not competing with other day homes in the town, and then maybe taking some of those kids that are just using those day homes as before and after school, and maybe younger children who are looking for daycare can utilize those day homes, and the kids who need the before and after school can have that within the school. They're trying to encourage more people to attend the school council meetings so they can get more of an idea how much of a need this is. But the principal is working really hard to try to get this put together for the school, for the town, and the families.
Thank you, Councillor Ashley. Was there any kind of a timeline they might have talked about?
Right now is when people have to let the school know if they're enrolling to come back in the fall or if they're going elsewhere. So they're trying to get this put together very soon within, I don't want to give a timeline, but just very soon so they can offer this to the families that are on the fence, maybe thinking of putting their kids elsewhere, just so so the bus is more like a babysitter, so the parents could go to work. So they're working hard on that, and they're in communications with Lisa from the daycare in Lamont, just trying to get this all started up.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions for Ashley on her information? No. Councillor Wayne,
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Len,
Nothing at this time.
Councillor Dana.
For the people listening, and if there's any media listening, so we all know in council, the CFCW critters are coming to Bruderheim to get an accessible. We're going to raise funds for an accessible bathroom in the arena. They are playing the local Bruderheim Comets team. So that is going to be happening February 23rd. So if the tickets are available on, you can get them at the town office and Eventbrite. And you could reach out to anybody. Best just go to the office and get tickets or reach out to them. We also have event planned for Family Day weekend. It's just in the works, but we are going to be having something for Family Day weekend. And then for Mother's Day weekend, we do have the famous rabbits coming back to Bruderheim. So there'll be more information coming with that too. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dana. Deputy Mayor Judy.
Nothing at this time.
And I have no program requests, so we can move on to 8.1 Bruderheim Municipal Library appointment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration would like to see council confirmation of a member appointment to the Bruderheim Municipal Library Board as set out in bylaw 01/2018, a bylaw to establish a municipal library board in terms of reference for the operations of the library board. Recommending that town council confirm the appointment of Sharon Velt, resident of Bruderheim, to the Bruderheim Municipal Library Board. Council history, council passed bylaw 01/2018, a bylaw to establish the Bruderheim Municipal Library Board on January 17, 2018. Section 3F states the appointment of the members of the board shall be made at each organizational meeting of town council, or in case of a vacancy arising from any cause, a successor shall be appointed at a council meeting. Strategic plan areas: build a safe and energetic community, support volunteers that are on the library board to facilitate a valuable service to our community, pursuing excellence in municipal leadership, a community that is educated in responsibilities and limitations of council administration. A council member is appointed to this board. Other impacts: legislative and legal, Libraries Act RSA 2000, Chapter L11, and Libraries Regulation 141, 1998, with amendments up to and including Alberta Regulation 134, 2018. Bylaw 01/2018 establishes a municipal library board in terms of reference for the operation of the library board. The library has operated in Bruderheim since April 1st, 1981, and is set out in the bylaw 406-81, a bylaw to establish a municipal library. This bylaw was repealed in 2018. Within bylaw 01/2018, the library board will consist of 7 members at large and 1 appointed council member. New library board member applications will be brought to council for confirmation as they are received. And we've attached the application, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, CEO Pat. So we're looking for a motion from council to confirm the appointment.
I make a motion that we appoint Sharon Felt, the resident of Bruderheim, to the Bruderheim Municipal Library Board.
Thank you very much for that motion. Any comments, questions, concerns, thoughts? Councillor Ashley?
We just held another library board meeting a week ago, 2 weeks ago. There's also 3 other people interested in joining the board. Right now, they can't commit to that, but they did come to the meeting to meet everybody and share some ideas, but we're hoping that they return and join our board as well. So
That's great to hear. Thank you, Councillor Ashley. Any other thoughts, comments on concerns with this motion? I just wanted to say great thanks to Sharon Felt and all of the folks that volunteer in our community. It's nice to hear about someone stepping forward to fill a volunteer role. Thank you very much to her. So if there's no other comments, questions, or concerns on this motion, I'll call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So we can move on to 8.2, joint use and planning agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration would like to provide council with an opportunity to view the proposed joint use and planning agreement with Elk Island Public Schools. We're recommending that town council approve the joint use and planning agreement between the town of Bruderheim and the Board of Trustees of Elk Island Public School. The current Board of Trustees of Elk Island Public School and the town of Bruderheim reciprocal use agreement was signed in December 2021. At that time, there was discussions on changes to the Education Act and Municipal Government Act, which would lead us to create a new document that would incorporate some planning and development pieces to the document. Strategic plan areas, developing a balanced economy, an opportunity to provide educational, cultural, and recreational opportunities for residents in a manner that reduce or eliminate the need to duplicate facilities, which results in an effective use of limited economic resources of the municipality and the school board. Create and maintain responsible infrastructure and development, provide park and recreational space for recreational purposes, and to organize and administer public recreational programs for the community and the school. Pursuing excellence in municipal leadership, an opportunity for the council administration to explore opportunities for agreements that mutually benefit organizations and community. Other impacts: legislative and legal, Municipal Government Act, RSA 2000, Chapter M26, and amendments thereof. The Education Act requires the municipality and any school board operating within the boundaries of the municipality to enter to maintain a joint use and planning agreement. This new agreement allows for recreation opportunities for our community to be offered to the school at no cost to family and community services who may by contract are providing services to our community. Planning and development considerations are now included within the document to meet the most recent legislative requirements. Information contained in this joint use and planning agreement will be shared with our staff and community partners that are contracted to provide recreational services for youth programming at the school. And we've attached the proposed agreement, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. So we're looking for a motion from council for this item. Councillor Wayne.
Motion that town council approve the joint use and planning agreement between town of Bruderheim and the Board of Trustees of Elk Island Public Schools.
Thank you, Counselor Wayne. Any comments, thoughts, concerns with this motion? Deputy Mayor Judy?
My only thought is I see your name on there, Patty. Do we have to let them know that we're gonna have a new CAO? I mean, it says CAO of Bruderheim, but then it specifically entitled, like, puts your name there. So I'm just wondering if we have to adjust it or notify them that the new CAO's name. That's all.
Thank you for that. So that clerical can get, okay, great. Any other thoughts, comments? Okay, call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So we can move on to 8.3 reserve transfer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration to provide council with information on the 2022 portion of the office remediation and abatement to be funded from reserves. We're recommending that town council approve the transfer of 14,800 from R4 infrastructure lifecycle maintenance replacement reserve to cover the 2022 portion of the expenses for the town office remediation and abatement. On December 5th, 2022, administration received an invoice from Armstrong Environmental for remediation and abatement services provided to November 22nd, 2022. Administration is continuing to work with insurance adjusters on this matter, and information will be brought forward to council once it's received. Strategic plan areas, a healthy, vibrant community, continuance of current service levels in our community, open and transparent governance administration, public presentation of financial reporting, other impacts, policy number FIN 091. The recommended reserve transfer will allow administration to balance the over budget amount for admin building maintenance in the 2022 operating budget. The current reserve account being recommended for transfer from is R4 infrastructure life cycle maintenance replacement. Current balance is $69,574. Upon council approval, administration will make the amendment statement of reserves available for public viewing, and we've attached statement of reserves, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that. So we're looking for a motion from council for amending the capital budget for 2022. Deputy Mayor?
I make a motion that town council approve the transfer of 14,800 from R4 infrastructure lifecycle maintenance replacement reservoir to cover the 2022 portion of expenses for the town office remediation and abatement.
Yeah, reserve, right? So any thoughts, comments, questions, Councillor Wayne?
So once this gets transferred, that leaves about $2,000 left in that account. Is that correct?
No,
Because you
Mr.
said-
Mayor, that we currently have 69,574.
But in here, there's, maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing, but this is a floor cleaner, the wheel loader trade in, the ring boards, and that's all in there as well, right? Is that inclusive of that 69,000 or is that over and above?
So, Mr. Mayor, that's been taken out already. So
Okay.
that was from the, if you look on the far left, 121,000 was the opening balance, and then those are committed, and then that's.
That's my question there. Okay, okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Thank
And
you for
Mr.
the-
Mayor, just through Councillor Aleko, as you know, if we end up winning surplus, highly recommending that we top up that reserve. That's one that's fallen dangerously low.
Thank you for the question and the answer. Any other comments? Councillor George?
Is this for the, to finish off the complete renovations or just the abatement?
Mr. Mayor, through Council Campbell, that's correct, just the abatement.
So then there'll be additional costs to do the reclaiming and stuff like that.
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor
Renovations, I should say.
Campbell, just as a reminder, we filed an insurance claim, so yeah, we can't touch anything until we find out if it's eligible for insurance. And we'll come back to council once we receive that report. And if it is a claimable like insurance claim, then they will provide the contractors. We won't. So then, but if we have to do it, then we'll be bringing it to council and getting some estimates for restoration. And
But would this abatement be covered under insurance if it was approved?
Mr. Mayor, through Council Campbell, we don't know yet, but we have to pay this bill. The town of Bruderheim
Yeah,
hired
so
these
there's a
people.
possibility of this money coming back.
Mr. Mayor, through Council Campbell, absolutely, there could be a chance. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question and the answer. Councillor Wayne, you had your hand up?
No, that was my question. actually.
Okay, any other questions from council on this motion? Okay, call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So we can move on to 8.4. twenty twenty-two capital budget amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The administration purpose of this report is to request council approve the 2020 capital budget as amended. Recommending that town council approve the amended 2022 capital budget as presented. The 2022 capital budget was presented to council on December 1st, 2021 for discussion. The total of the 2022 capital budget was $635,000. The capital budget is funded from MSI capital of $580,000, reserves of $20,000, CCBF of $35,000. The total of the 2022 previously amended capital budget was $987,000. The capital budget is funded from MSI of capital of $657,737, non-MSI grants of $234,263, reserves of $20,000, CCBF of $35,000, other fundraising of $40,000. The total of the 2022 amended capital budget being presented to council is $997,000. The capital budget is from MSI capital of $657,737, non-MSI grants of $234,263, reserves of $30,000, CCBF of $35,000, other fundraising of $40,000. Strategic plan areas: develop a balanced economy, planning and designing of future assets, as well as the rehabilitation, revitalization of current assets. Create and maintain responsible infrastructure, plan maintenance and life cycle repair, build a safe and energetic community, the creation, purchase, and construction of new assets, purchasing excellence and pursuing excellence in municipal leadership, public presentations of the capital budget to allow for public input, legal impacts pursuant to section 242 of the MGA. Council must adopt the capital budget for the calendar year. Building a responsible capital budget involves allocating resources to meet both today's needs and the requirements for long-term financial sustainability. Several factors must be examined in terms of capital projects. The pressures of infrastructure maintenance, growth, and new capital projects must be balanced against the impacts on future operating budgets, staff resources, and available funding. It is critical to rethink, revitalize, and preserve our capital assets in order to meet community priorities, accommodate a vigorous and resilient economy, and continue to provide the essential services residents rely on each day for healthy, safety, and enjoyment. The previous approved 2022 amended capital budget is being amended for the following reason. The actual cost of the outdoor rink boards came in higher than originally estimated. And Mr. Mayor, just to add to that, it was included in the 5-year capital plan. And unfortunately, administration, we forgot to amend the actual 2022. So it's in the 5-year plan, but it's not the budget. So it was administrative oversight. That was brought in May of 2021 to council. And so the actual cost to remediate the outdoor rink boards was $15,000. Upon council approval, administration will make the approved amended capital budget available on our website and shared with staff. And we've attached the 2022 capital budget as amended and as previously amended.
Thank you very much. So we're looking for a motion from council for the 2022 capital budget amendment. Deputy Mayor.
I make a motion that town council approve the amended 2022 capital budget as presented.
Thank you for that motion, Deputy Mayor Judy. Any comments, questions, or concerns from council on this motion? Councillor Wayne?
With the outdoor rink, is that replacing all boards or just broken ones?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Lecco, that was just the broken ones.
Is there that many, or is it just expensive for the? Really?
Mr. Mayor, through to Councilor Letko. So this involved replacing not only the boards, we had all the lower puck board to do and threshold, and we also replaced some hinges, if you can recall, on some of the access gates. So it covered a lot more than just a few boards. And the plexiglass for those boards is extremely expensive. The costs have probably tripled in the last 2 years. So be careful when you're playing hockey over in this rink because it costs even more. So hint, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. and Thanks for the answer, Dennis. Councillor George has a question.
Dennis, this $15,000, is that materials over and labor, or is it just materials?
Mr. Mayor, through to Councillor Campbell, that's materials and labor, everything all in.
That's counting, did we do the work or did we have it contracted out?
We had it contracted out because there was also some adjusting to do on the framing of the existing outdoor rink boards. So they did it all. Labor and material.
And how many boards did we replace?
I believe there were 7 boards. I can't even tell you how much puck board down below was replaced. A lot. There was a lot of holes in it. And then the threshold plate was just that was alone was just $1,000. That's the threshold to get in and out with the Zamboni because that thick of plexiglass. So it's very expensive material.
Any other questions, Councillor George?
Yeah, I think this should have been brought to council before this.
CAO Patty?
So Mr. Mayor, it was in May. It was brought in the 5-year capital plan and explained why we increased it. We just didn't adjust the capital budget as well. So there's a council motion that approved that increase. It didn't, we had to also bring the capital budget that was previously to be amended as well as a separate motion. We didn't do that.
Thank you for that, CAO Pat. Any other questions? Councillor Dana?
Thanks for getting it fixed for everyone, so everyone could go skate safely and appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much. Just a reminder to folks that are using the outdoor rink, be careful with the boards. They're expensive. What was the total final cost on that?
Mr. Mayor, just for the outdoor rink, it's just under 15,000. So
Yeah, 1.5% tax increase. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So we can move on to 8.5. We'll hear about the water reservoir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration would like to provide council with an update on the water reservoir study. The town council received the water reservoir study update from MP Engineering as information. The town of Bruderheim was successful in receiving a one-time conditional grant in the amount of $200,000 to conduct a water reservoir study. The purpose of the grant was to gather information to support the collaboration between the town of Bruderheim and Lamont County in gathering information for a potable water storage facility design. The town of Bruderheim is managing the project on behalf of the project participants. Strategic plan areas, create and maintain responsible infrastructure, an opportunity to collaborate with Lamont County to hire a consultant to develop a regional potable water storage facility design that includes engineering analysis and design. Pursuing excellence in municipal leadership, council and regional partners working together in projects that benefit our community and the surrounding area. Other impacts, legislative and legal, the 2019-2020 Alberta Community Partnership Intermunicipal Collaboration Component Conditional Grant Agreement. This study will provide the town of Bruderheim and Lamont County with a regional potable water storage facility design, including an engineering analysis and design. Once this information is finalized and shared by all partners, there would be further need for agreements, development, and amending of further bylaws for specific research. And we're fortunately enough to have Mr. DeHoon online to give a small presentation to council, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you. So you're going to tee them up on the screen there?
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's Mike here with MPE Engineering.
Welcome.
Thank you. I don't think my video will work. I know if I turn it on, I will probably sever my connection. So we have provided a summary, like a design process update and project summary. I believe Patty had distributed that to everybody. And I could, I guess, put it on. I could share my screen, I guess, if we want to go through it.
Yeah, Mike, I gave you access to do that if you got enough bandwidth there.
Okay. Okay, yeah, there we go. That seems to be working. All right, so this is basically a short summary that kind of goes over some of the aspects of the project that we've been working on for the town of Bruderheim. So we had done a pre-design report back in 2018, and it was a very intensive, study. And then this, like I say, this is just a little summary of the information, and goes, and then a little summary of the work to date on the engineering design and tender documents. So basically, there's just a little table of contents. We can go into the first item. And this just goes over the existing treated water supply system, the components that you have at your reservoir and pump fill station. The reservoir filling is connected to the John S. Pachuk Water Commission. That's through a 200 millimeter, it's an 8-inch supply line. The reservoir itself consists of a reinforced concrete treated water storage reservoir, and it's connected to a pumping chamber directly beneath the pump house. What you have for total usable storage capacity in the reservoir is 2,500 cubic meters. The treated water distribution pumps, there's two of them, vertical turbine style pumps, both driven by 30 horsepower motors. The fire pump, again, is a vertical turbine style, and it's driven by a 100 horsepower diesel engine. The exterior truck fill stations consist of one high rate 4-inch line and one low rate 2-inch fill line. There's a dedicated truck fill pump, a submersible style, and it's driven by a 7.5 horsepower motor. The distribution header pumping or piping in the station is sized at 250 millimeters, so it's 10-inch. The underground pipe distribution system is services developed areas of the town, and the distribution line leaving the pump house is sized at 350, so that's a 14-inch line. That just gives you a little picture of the inside the pump house, the pumps themselves, some of the piping. So item 2, the projected treated water storage. So what MPE did is we utilized, there was four aspects or 4 items that we used to make the decision on the requirements for your water storage and the fire flow requirements. So the first one was through Alberta Environment. There's guidelines and formulas which we had to follow when calculating the storage capacity. And then the second item we utilized was the commission, the John S. Patuque Water Commission. They have some minimum standards required. And the third item or approach that we did was utilized was the water storage requirements based on associated engineering. They provided you with a master services plan back in 2015. And again, they had done some extensive work and studying. So we utilized part of that information. And then the fourth approach we used was County of Strathcona's minimum design standards, which Bruderheim has adopted. So it was a combination of all 4 items. Currently, your storage requirements are based on, well, it's 2,700 cubic meters minimum for the fire storage capacity. And currently you have 2,500 cubic meters. So at the present time, you are short of adequate fire storage capacity. And that was, again, based on some of those Strathcona County's design standards. So the proposed upgrades to the pump station and this existing supply system, the primary issues with existing reservoir and pump station are capacity issues related to water storage. The other deficiencies related to your existing supply system include the pump station itself was last upgraded in 2007, and some components are requiring some inspection and maintenance after more than 15 years of operation. I know Dennis and his crew keep pretty good tabs on things and keep things up. And then another item that's requiring upgrades is that the diesel engine driven to your fire pump, driving the fire pump, is undersized for the town's projected fire flows. And then the last one was the existing reservoir. It's constructed without baffle curtains. So item 5, this is the required storage, the additional required storage. Basically, based on all the criteria that we went through, Bruderheim should have a minimum of 3,377 cubic meters of usable storage, and that's to satisfy your current water storage demand. Again, your existing is 2,500 cubic meters, so we're looking at a reservoir expansion of about 2,200 meters will ensure that you not only be equipped with enough storage for the projected 10 years from now, but it'll also ensure that the town is suitably equipped to meet your existing water storage demands. And again, we looked at population growths, statistical based on your last, probably 20 years, and then projected into another 10 years from now. And that's a requirement of Alberta Environment, that anything designed has to look at another 10 years of projected population growth for down the road. So we prepared a cost estimate And it's a pretty detailed cost estimate based on, construction of another, the expansion of the reservoir and the upgrades, pumping upgrades and fire suppression, fire upgrades as well. And that was done in 2018. And the cost back then was about 3.58 million. So since then, unfortunately, there's a lot of increases in costs and mainly due to the supply. Everybody knows there's a supply, I guess, shortage and demand seem to be higher these days. But the revised cost estimate is about 4.44 million. So it's a considerable increase from 2018, which is, very unfortunate. So then I guess we've been working on the design, the detailed design for your reservoir pump station upgrades. And right at this point, the design drawings are about 95% complete. And Dennis has had a copy of them for review. And then our specifications and tender documents are about 75% complete. So at this point, we haven't done a whole lot of work because we're just waiting, along with you guys for some funding. So if the funding, comes through, then we'll go through and, follow up and finish and get the tender documents and the rest of everything ready to go out for, for the construction. And at this point, Patty and with a bit of assistance from us and your admin, they've been going through and applying for the AMWAP, Alberta, Municipal Water and Wastewater Partnership Grant. So that's through the province of Alberta. So I believe Patty probably be more familiar with the funding share is, but it's probably around that 75 to 80%. And then the rest would be the balance of that funding would be required under the Bruderheim's own coffers. So the cost estimate, like I say, it's a detailed estimate. It goes through the pumps and fire pump and all the distribution system inside the reservoir, and then the reservoir site and site works and expansion itself. The inside, like basically the pumping station upgrades are about 785,000. The reservoir and site works are about 1.88 million. And then the on-site power generator, that's the backup, and the fire pump, it's about 345,000. And then you have some mobilization fees and miscellaneous general fees on site. So that's about another 184,000, and gives you a grand total of about 3.2 million. We threw in 15% contingency, and I mean that changes. It can change, but basically, if this goes to tender, then we would prepare a pre-tender cost estimate, which we would crisp up on this and get some, fine tune and get some current to date prices on all the materials and electrical and pumps and everything. So we would prepare a class B estimate, which would be, like I say, be a little more accurate. So right at this point, we throw in a 15% contingency, and then there's an inflation factor that was added on. So that, and then there's construction review and testing, design engineering. You guys have been fortunate to get the ACP grant. So all your engineering and design and tendering process on this will be covered. And it still leaves you a ground total of 4.435 million for the total project. So I think in a nutshell, that's kind of an update on your reservoir and pump station upgrades. I guess if you have any questions, you can fire away. Anything detailed or any more specifics, Dennis and I can refer to the pre-design report if you require any more specifics, for sure.
Thank you very much, Mike. Just looking around if anyone from council has any questions for Councillor George has a question.
The present reservoir, if we go with this plan, the new reservoir can be attached to the present reservoir without too much modification.
Well, it will require a fairly big excavation because most of your storage is underground. Well, or all of it will be underground, and then So it'll be directly north of your existing reservoir, and then the piping will connect. It'll connect through the, through from the new one to the old one. And then there'd be upgrades to your old reservoir as well to add some baffling inside of it.
Yeah, you mentioned the baffles. Can you explain that as well? What they're,
Well, I'm not an expert on the water treatment end of things. Dennis would probably know more, but it does help to just to keep when the flow is coming in and going out. And as your water's, I guess, treated, and you guys are on a regional system, so you don't have a treatment center, but or system. But it just keeps things inside from, I guess, maybe I'm a little bit out of loss here. Like, say, Dennis probably might have a better idea on baffles.
Mr. Mayor, through the Councillor Campbell. So the baffling system is basically retention and control of flow. So it goes through a series, if you will, like, well, a squiggly line. It controls that flow and it controls retention. In this case, if we were to do post chlorination, that's where it really comes into play if we ever lost chlorination coming down line. But in this case, how we're doing it is flow. So it stabilizes the flow within the existing reservoir and the additional reservoir. And Mike, I'm just going to add on to what you said about where that reservoir is going. And I think we talked a little bit about it. All of council's been to the reservoir. We're going directly north to that first fence, and we'll take up that working space. And that's where it'll go, and it'll be joined by two pipes, one bypass, one feed. So we always have that in case of emergency. So that's how that will come together. And I hope that answers your question. Yes, it does. But in this case, as I said, it's the baffling curtain. If we were doing post chlorination, that channeling is where it comes into play. It retains everything and holds it and mixes it together.
secondly, when I looked at the picture here, where's our other pump driver?
I'm not sure I understand your question, Councillor Campbell.
When I was looking at the picture here, there's only one pump driver.
That picture was taken when we took the other motor out at that time. So I think I had this picture on file, so I supplied it. Good catch.
Yeah, the motor's missing there. Yeah, I never noticed that.
Yeah, we had it rebuilt at that time.
Any other questions from Councillor Wayne?
So just for, I guess, looking at the dollar amount, would I be correct in saying if we're approved for that grant, we'd be on the hook for right around $1 million? Is that?
And Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Alecko, that is correct, your math.
Only, yeah. And if this was successful, where would this money come from?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Alecko, well, you, because it is actually a federal grant, but the province administers it, we could currently use MSI, but going forward, I'm not sure what the new model will look like. And you could also debenture it.
Can we sell 50-50 tickets and raise money?
Could, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. Councillor Len?
I only have one question. When you do the population thing for 10 years, are you being real or just dreaming? Because Bruderheim hasn't grown anything in 20 years. Population 20 years ago is pretty well the same it is today. And I can't see it growing much more in the next 10 years to quantify all this. So where's those numbers come from?
I think I'll let the
Actually,
administration answer this question.
Mr. Mayor, through the Councillor Flardo. So the short and nasty to the answer to this one is that we're not looking so much as residents. I think we established this a few years ago, excuse me, firewater flows. So if you can just bear with me for 1 minute. The firewater flows that we currently can provide are 90 liters per second. The current standards for Strathcona County are between 200 and 250 liters per second. Firewater flows to meet the Canadian fire standards. We don't meet that. That's the premise of this entire edition is firewater flows. Population is what it is. It's a 3%. It's a standard growth that you put on each town. It's a standard. I don't want to say industry standard. It's a number that's used for population growth. Yes, population plays a role in it, but right now we focused on the firewater flows. We don't have enough storage and we don't have enough flow.
Well, I understand that. Now, when you're talking firewater, is that every fire hydrant in town being used or 1, 2? We only got a couple of trucks. And does that mean 90% of the town has to be on fire to meet those numbers you're talking? Because I've been here a long, long time. We've only had one fire of any significance. And so I know there's wish things like we should be up to the date and all this, but let's put reality back into place here. How many fire hydrants have to be used to make that quota? Most of the fire hydrants in town, I believe, just about. So we're not gonna, the whole town is not gonna burn up. I don't believe in one setting. So that to me is not reality. Thank you.
I guess if I can comment on that, it definitely is not a requirement to, or designed to connect to every one of your hydrants in town. And what we look at is some of your bigger structures. So you have the motel and you have the arena. And then the size of those buildings is factored into the fire demands, the fire flows. And you're probably going to be looking at maybe two to three fire hydrants that could draw the system down in the reservoir, because it's such a high volume that, gets taken out of those hydrants. So I hope that answers your question.
Any further questions, Councillor Lynn? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. Unfortunately, I've been on the side of town that's had 2 fires and they've used over 3 fire hydrants each time on those house fires. And they were both taken down and they had to be repaired. So, and right now, as I understand it, we're short now with the fire and we've got the new system starting up over in West Woodlands where they're going to be building more houses. So I think it's one of those things that eventually, if we get the money somewhere along the line, we'll have to come up with a solution to follow through with it. And let's hope the crisis go down and not up.
Councillor Wayne and Councillor George?
So is it mandated that we get this done now, or is there a time frame that this has to be completed by? Is there, if we touch it, then we have to do it? Is that how does that? I don't want to be stuck in a rock place, so we have to do it by 2024 or whatever, 2023.
No, there's nothing, Mr. Mayor, through the Councillor Letko, there's nothing that says we have to do it. We're trying to follow, we've adopted this County of Strathcona's standards. So part of that adoption is being able to get there somehow. So Edmonton has their set of standards, Strathcona has their set of standards. We are setting our standards. The Canadian Fire Standard says we suggest that you must have 2 to 250 liters per second of firewater flow to meet the firewater demand, along with the existing storage. So we fall short on the storage because we only have 2,500 cubic meters. We need 3,300. We fall short at the 200 to 250 because we can only provide 90 liters per second. So if we touch it, I can go and modify the fire pump system. I can do anything we want to do there. We're looking at growth and try to meet those standards. So there's a double whammy, if you will. Does that answer your question, Councillor Lecko?
Yeah, no, yeah, it does. I was just wondering if this is like a mandate that we have to have it done by a certain time, or if it's something that if we look at it, we have to start going through the process, but no, it's not that I'm against it. I just want to know if we're getting pushed to do this now, or is this something we can look at and plan properly over the next little bit?
Well, I think that we should be cognizant of the fact that if the town of Bruderheim grows more and more and more, then it prevails that we have to move faster and faster and faster on this. So I think it's only prudent that we keep this moving forward, keep applying for grants and make a go of this if we can.
Perfect, thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, if I can add a comment to that, with the industrial growth around us, we're finding that more industry partners are looking to us for that sort of opportunity. So I'm really hoping that if we were lucky enough to get the grant, that industry partners would also be interested in upgrading our system as well, because they're mandated on their sites to have fire protection, right? So having the ability to draw like there might be opportunities there, right? To partner with them instead of them building their own on-site ponds and things like that, where they have to have fire protection. Then we partner with them to kind of figure that out, right?
So is that something we can start doing now?
Yeah, we were talking about that, me and Mr. Thomashat, that, you know, that's something we should, once this study's done and we can go around and that's why we partner with Lamont County, because they've got potential industry growth. And so work with their team over there in Public Works and Planning and Development and start kind of going around, hey, if you're thinking about this, you know, we also have an opportunity to expand. Our lagoons have a lot more capacity, those sorts of things. So having these documents ready to go that we can prove that we have capacity and this is what it's going to cost, I think will do us well.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. Councillor George.
Just to add to Patty's explanation there. Has it been taken into consideration also that the possibility of light industry and the consumption that would have on this system? I'm talking like not the hemp plant is one, but there's always possibilities of more light industry coming into the area, and they will require some sort of water supply for process and stuff like that.
Mr. Mayor, through the Council Campbell, absolutely. So if we increase the reservoir sizing and the pumping capabilities of our existing reservoir, that's the demands that we meet. So for instance, for an example, if we went to a population of 3,500, this new system would handle 3,500, or in this case, we have 1,400 people in this town. Take the other 1,700 people, that usage could go to a light commercial till we grow. And Patty alluded to it just a few minutes ago, is this is the perfect opportunity to get together with some of our oil industry partners and the whole area and see what they can do, because they will be looking for water. Surely they will be looking for water.
That's one of the greatest commodities there is, that sells your community, is water. It brings in a lot of, if we get the light industry, that will be one of the selling points. You can't go very far without water.
Thank you for the questions, Councillor George. Any other questions from council? Deputy Mayor.
Not necessarily a question, just a comment. I guess it's great that we ended up having the opportunity to partner with the Lamont County and see the future of what's going to happen. Really great.
Definitely. Thank you. I did have one question. So in the planning that you're doing, you're thinking of tying into the old tank. Has there been any testing done in the old tank so we don't get a surprise that maybe there's an issue with the old tank?
Mr. Mayor, last year we did a diver's assessment. We had the divers go in there and do an assessment of the tank, and it's in great condition. There's nothing that stands out that would incur any cost to the town at this point.
Okay, and they did some non-destructive testing to ensure the wall thickness was good, and okay, that's great. Thank you. And another question that I have is this the Cadillac model? And if we scaled it down, would there be a different number potentially?
Mr. Mayor, myself and our engineers have actually discussed this. If we were to bring it down a little bit, we could reduce the size of the reservoir. We are currently about 300 cubic meters bigger than what's required. And that would be surely a cost savings there, along with all the other components that meet that. I think, I don't want to throw a number out there, but we might be able to take 20%, 15% off the total cost if we were to do some reductions. But I want to put it out there that if we do that, then it affects our growth, which is what Councillor Campbell alluded to. And I was trying to give an example of what growth does versus if some light commercial comes in, the usage how that would change.
Okay, thank you. And does the administration have an approximate number of over the past 20 years what the population of Bruderheim has done?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have that number?
Oh, not
available?
with me right now. No, we can
Okay.
provide that to council later for sure.
That'd be great. Thank you. Councillor Wayne?
I just want to make a comment that if we're successful with the federal grant and support from our neighboring companies beside us, I don't know if scaling down is the right thing. I think if the money's there, we run with it and get it done. And I don't want to nickel and dime something. I want to make sure that what we're doing is done right and is going to support us for years to come. So if the funds are there, why not do it?
Yeah, that sounds great. I just wanted to know what our options were. Deputy Mayor?
Are there any ways to start fundraising and starting to break down the number in different methods if we don't get that full big grant?
Mr. Mayor, through Deputy Mayor, me and Mr. Thomashat talked about that, kind of taking the phased approach. Perhaps looking for funding opportunities if we break it down into phases with the intention of fully doing it. But yeah, we're just kind of talking about watching those grants. Honestly, with this report and the thoroughness of it, it's really going to provide us the opportunity to watch for different things happening. And yeah, kind of like our community park, how we broke it down into phases, a little more easier to get our heads wrapped around when it's smaller projects at a time. But again, if we were successful, it's like winning the lottery ticket, those federal grants. So that would be a really tough decision for council if you wanted to trim it down because you might not get that ticket again. So.
Thank you for the question. Is there any implications to our residents on their house insurance with not meeting that standard for the fire flow? No? Okay.
Again, Mr. Mayor, it's a recommendation of fire water flows. It's not a set, it's not prerequisite. So do insurance companies ask you what's your farthest fire station away? Yes. They will ask you how far that is away. I believe after 5 kilometers, and Councillor Schuler and I had that discussion a few months ago. So not having a fire department affects it, but not the fire water flows. We do provide fire protection.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? When would we be getting the final report? Would that be in this year or?
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Dohan alluded to it earlier that the report is 95% complete, and he doesn't go any further because the next step is tendering. And so until we get that funding in place, we wouldn't go to the finalization of that. So what we have is basically, this is the actual documents, like with all the drawings, schematics, recommendations. What we did is we put it into a summary for council to better understand. But right now, we're asking council to accept this as information. And also, we'll be looking for funding as we always do. So.
Right, yeah, and if we maintain 6% type of inflation numbers in 3 years, that's going to be 18% of this cost if we don't. Okay, thank you. Something to be aware of. So we'll be looking for a motion from council to accept this report as information. Councillor George.
I make a motion that town council receive the water reserve study update from MPE Engineering Limited as information as presented.
Thank you, Councillor George. Any comments, questions, or concerns from council? Councillor Dana.
Thanks for all the information, Mike. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, great job. I'm sure Dennis has had a big hand in it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, for attending tonight.
Yes, you're very welcome. It's always with your assistance, so it's great.
Any other comments or questions from council for this motion? Okay, call for a vote then. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. So now we can move on to council reports. And we'll look for a motion for the mayor and council committee reports as information. Deputy Mayor.
I make a motion that town council receive the mayor and council committee reports as information.
Thank you for that motion. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. And now we're looking for a motion to receive the chief CAO report. Councillor Ashton.
That town council received the chief administrative officer report as information.
Thank you for that motion, Councillor Ashley. We were just debating something here. Sorry, I got distracted. Any comments, questions, or concerns on the CAO report? Yeah, that's right. Any, Councillor George has a question?
I just got one, and that's in regards to the 52nd Avenue and 51st Street swale. In our last thaw, we had a runoff there. It could have been maybe prevented if the ditch would have been cleaned out a little sooner.
Mr. Mayor, through the Councillor Campbell, I think we all know that ditch, and I know it all too well. There's roughly about a 0.25% grade on that ditch right back to 50th. There is no grade. So what we do is we dug it down. We kept working in the loader. I think if you can recall, last year we kept putting the loader in there, trying to dig it down, trying to get it moving. But at a 0.25% grade, there's nothing we can do. I think if council recalls back in 2017, when we were doing the repaving, the overlays throughout town, we did ask that crew to try and do something with it. At that time, our engineers, you've got no grade. We don't have enough grade there. So in order for that to work, Councillor Campbell, we would have to look at some extensive culvert. We'd have to go deep, and it would have to be underground. So what we have to work with above ground, unfortunately, is us being there, pumping, maintaining it. There was nothing we can do better than what we have, just due to the grade issues. I would love to be able to do more, but we just can't.
The only thing that I'm concerned about when it freezes, and it's after this last frost freeze up, we were left with a bunch of severe ruts. And I seen a vehicle take a turn, go to turn down 51st Street. And well, he just about collided into the car next to it because he hit those ruts. That's something we have to address, try to keep it smoothed out. And
Mr. Mayor, through the Councillor Campbell, I absolutely agree. And I think I'll use last year as a great example. I went through 9 sets of ice blades in the grader last year alone. Public Works is very aware of anything that happens. Unfortunately, we can't be here in the middle of the night. We do attack them in the morning. And I do believe that our crews are out there getting the best that we can. And certainly if you see something, or if any one councillor sees something, or the residents see something, they're pretty observant, and we get that phone call. So we're diligently out there doing that.
But sometimes staff can see things too.
Where again, Councillor Campbell, we try to get out there as much as we can, but we just can't afford to drive around town all day, with all
No,
due
but this
respect.
is someplace that you drive by continuously.
Yeah, and noted. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think we got that one. Thank you, Councillor George. So every council meeting, we typically folks from council have lots of questions for the chief administrative officer on her report. So today I made sure that every councillor has got a host of questions for the CAO report, because our CAO, unfortunately, Patty, is leaving us. So we have to part with this gift of having at least a half a dozen questions each councillor for CAO Patty. So George has done his already, and it's Councillor Wayne's turn.
Okay, question number 6, and I'll go down. For first calls, is that for new home build, or is this just something smaller in someone's residence?
These are anything from somebody putting in a fence to somebody hydrovacing something to locate a broken line underground. It's putting up a sign in your yard, putting up anything like that.
So there's no new home, these aren't new home?
No,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
These first calls that you're talking about, these are actually Shaw related, and they're up in Brookside. They're doing some relocation of Shaw lines.
Okay,
So every report, you'll see that the CAO will have underneath that how many first calls we got during the period. During this last period, we received 4, and they're actually for Shaw up in Brookside.
okay. And
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. Do you have a question?
that was only number 6. I
already?
got 5 more to go.
Okay.
You laughed, but How has, no. Just just in regards to bulk water sales, how has that been? Has it gone down? Is it bulk water sales? She's already tapped out. I don't know.
The longer we ask questions, the longer you have to stay here, Pat.
I actually don't have an update on bulk water sales this month. Sorry, I can get that back to you.
This is like a filibuster in Parliament. You can't leave us if we keep asking questions.
But some are so old, okay?
Question number 3. It says one community sign change. When's number 2? No, I'm just kidding. I'm good.
Thank you, Councillor Ling. I actually have a legitimate question. In Westwood Lands, we've had one home built and another one going to be built soon. When are they putting in another hydrant and what effect does that have to our water flow every new hydrant that gets added?
Mr. Mayor, so the nearest hydrant for that recent build is just on the corner into that cul-de-sac. So there'll be another hydrant. And if you look at the overall plan, that subdivision plan that I believe Glenn did, you'll see where the hydrant actually joins on the other side of that emergency access. So there is plans for another one to go, sorry, Sherry, on the other side of that emergency access. When needed, it's not required at present because there is one right at the cul-de-sac there.
Okay, yeah, and I was curious on what the impact is once that one's operational to that number that we were talking about.
Again, it wouldn't be impact unless it was used, and it would be just like using one hydrant somewhere else in town. It will still be, the pressure will stay the same, the flows will stay the same.
Yep, thank you. And let's see, the other question that I had was, Councillor Dana has a question.
So I'll make a motion.
Patty, what will you miss the most about Bruderheim and being a part of Bruderheim? It's a big list of stuff you've done for our community, and everything you've done is appreciated. And this is your last meeting, and we should drag this out till midnight. Because I remember what you said it was like when you first came here, what it was like. We should make it like that for our last meeting.
We just want to make sure that you know how much we appreciate and love having you here with us.
Yeah, and I very much appreciate the journey with Bruderheim. As you know, when I came here, I'd never been a CEO before. And so I have to thank all of the councils that I've served and for being patient with me while I learned and grew. And I'm very thankful for the support, and I will miss that for sure. And knowing all of you and gaining your trust, I hope, and trusting you, and that we have each other back and that we're a team, I will miss that very much. And yeah, I'm hoping that I can recreate that and that I can take that same team spirit to my new employer.
Good luck.
Thank you, CAO Patton. Good luck. Yeah. Hearing no further questions, call the question. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Correspondence and information items.
Mr. Mayor, just we were hoping that you could, I know they were late items, but the Northeast Mayor Caucus, maybe Deputy Mayor could address that with that change that came in.
Yep.
And as well as the request from Municipal Affairs, there's a short turnaround if we wanted to have any conversations with the minister.
Yeah,
So-
I got a heads up from Sherry about them. Do you want the motion first and then add them in, or talk about them first and then make?
No motion necessary, Mr. Mayor. They're just correspondence items, so.
Okay, so we'll let Deputy Mayor Judy speak to the Northeast Caucus question item first.
So you see, we got the bill for $800. So they put out a overview of what they figure every municipality should go forward with and stuff like that. Not sure that I'm actually in favor of that, more so because we haven't got all the policies down. From our last meeting, they put forward a committee that's supposed to be putting all those guidelines of how the organization is going to operate, who gets the voting powers and all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of like preempting that. If we follow through and go ahead with what was put forward at the meeting, the 25 cents per capita, they're fine with that, but that's what they're proposing they'll be coming up with. And the game plan of the membership is to do long-term planning so that as we whatever we decide to do with the whole group as a whole, it will be funded in advance is kind of the idea. So, I think this is an option for us to do this $800. Other than that, I would or say that we do the 25 cents per capita, which works out to what? I think $395 or something like that, $400.
Councillor Len?
Well, I'll start with, this is Canada. Make it very clear, this is not America. We don't pay for lobbyists. We don't want lobbyists in our country. And this is what this, exactly what this is. I think there's enough political will and clout to get this done without paying for somebody to go and speak on our behalf, because there's enough mayors, councillors, administrators to do that without bringing in a lobbyist. I don't support it one bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Len. Deputy Mayor Judy, did you want to respond?
Actually, yeah, the idea of the lobbyist is not to get them to speak on our behalf. Basically, what the lobbyist wants to do is get everyone into a uniform speech and give them specifically what to talk about and answer the questions so that you know specifically. So as elected officials, we will be doing our own lobbying. It's just to kind of get their help and get their time dates and all that kind of stuff that they have in place. And it's interesting that quite a few of the municipalities, Vegreville in particular, has used lobbyists for specific ideas before. So even though I appreciate your comment about America and Canada, they are using the lobbyists more so than I ever thought possible throughout the region. So, and this is one of the tactics that, they just kind of get you on the straight and narrow. So you're focused on a certain idea and how to get to where you want to go.
So it's more of a consultant than really a lobbyist. Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Wayne?
So going forward, would this group be in support of helping, say, us and Town of Lamont in regards to Highway 15? Is that what this is? No, I understand right now. It's
This
Highway
particular
29.
project, yeah, it's Highway 28, but the idea of the group is as a group go forward for whatever comes forward next, right? And help support us with whatever happens, right?
Yeah, the only reason I'm asking is Highway 28 has no bearing on us, like immediate, right? And I just want to make sure that if this is supported, that there's support coming back to these other municipalities for future.
That's the idea of the group as a concept, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, you're right. The ideas as a group, but I do know that reading the information and the minutes that are coming from that, there are other municipalities and reserves that are already lining up their items that they want to push forward through this caucus. So who knows what will land next within that group. But I agree with Deputy Mayor that we should maybe wait until we see the governance policies put in place before we put any money down, or contemplate putting money down into this organization. But I did notice that the Town of Lamont approved $800 as per the information. So that's something also to consider. Councillor George, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, this is sort of a strength by numbers in a way.
Yeah, it's done throughout the province. There's other areas throughout the whole province, and Grand Prairie area in particular has been doing it for about 1.5 to 2 years. And they're gaining momentum by coming in as a group and not necessarily prioritizing, just making sure that the province is totally aware of any projects that are going on in those areas, right? And Mayor Kirk did a fabulous analysis of all the dollars being spent elsewhere, well, not being spent elsewhere, but everything that happens in this corridor. Okay, so listing the different things that happen from population. The only thing that he did kind of maybe miss on it all was the tourism aspect, right? But definitely the amount of dollars that are coming out of our area that are being spent toward province coffers. So the groups all over the province are getting together, and it's about numbers and about going with cohesive. So understanding, actually, it's a very interesting meeting. All the different aspects that is happening in the communities and the problems that they're having, right? Sometimes I sit there and say, God, thank God, I'm in the right area. Some are like lacking nurses, lacking doctors. So we discuss everything and trying to bring out the more important things to help things focus forward. Because I think we all get focused on our town and only go with one voice when we're talking to the province. And I think we really need to look at it overall and talk on a much wider basis.
What really qualifications has these advisors got? What, like, are the economists, are the
What advisors?
like you mentioned that these people give advice or sort of help you with working forward and stuff like this? Is
The
this
lobbyists?
Yeah, the lobbyists.
Okay, so the lobbyists, I mean, there's 3 organizations that they looked at in the province that they were doing. So they're lawyers and they're well-educated people that have a handle in with the government that know how to get things done, right? Who to approach quickly, what the agenda is. Like they keep their nose to the ear on really what's happening in the province, or in the caucus of what's happening there and where they're going and what they, all that kind of stuff. So it's a variety of different people, but most of them are lawyers and that type of thing. That's their job, and they're
Councillor Lynn?
Well, we're getting absolutely ridiculous. We're gonna be looking at lawyer. Why don't we hire these same lobbyists to reduce our policing costs? And that affects all those communities. And that's $85,000, folks. And I would spend $800 if all of us communities got together and did something about that. But no, we're gonna take care of something that really doesn't affect us, giving money to a bunch of lawyers. Come on, this is not good.
And actually with that fact, it's very interesting because that might be one of the things that comes up because policing has been discussed there as well. So.
Thank you for that. So are you, Deputy Mayor, looking at potentially shelving your notice of motion for the time being?
No, I'd like to put my notice of motion forward, but only for the 25 cents per capita that was discussed at the meeting to help. I would like to see one project at least put forward and gain some momentum on, so then we can see what the outcome of what this organization could do for us as well as the rest of the group.
Okay, are you putting that motion forward right now or for a subsequent council meeting?
No, I'd like to put it forward right now.
Okay, so would you be willing to make that motion then?
I make a motion that we support the, where's the group here? Northeast Caucus, for the amount of 25 cents per capita, toward the project for the project.
Is that sufficient for a motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor George, you gonna make them a comment on the motion?
Yes, I am. I think before we make a decision on this, I think that there should be more information on what their platform is and what their mandate is. As I related, I think to Sherry in an email that there's not enough information with this group yet as to make a educated decision. That's all I have to say.
Thank you,
I'm
Councillor
not
George.
against it. I just haven't got enough information.
Thank you, Councillor George. Councillor Wayne.
So total dollar amount, we're looking about like $350. So very small investment to take a look at this. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. And just a reminder, this is a voluntary payment. It's not a requirement, and it doesn't have to be any specific figure. They were looking for any amount, and they just put forward a recommendation. So, Councillor Ashley.
So with that motion, is that something that we would do now or after when the policies and everything are in place?
I think it's something that we need to know now because they are working already toward the lobbyists and that type of thing for working on the project within the next 2-3 months. The long-term policies and all that kind of stuff, that's going to take a few more months. And so I think our next meeting is not for 2 months down the line. And that probably they all won't be there because understanding we're not probably all going to agree on them. I mean, you've got 48 people in the room. So there's going to be lots of discussion. So that will probably be worked out over a 6-month period, I anticipate. And then I'm anticipating probably by next year, they'll come up with a different number. And this might be the number, it might be, voted down. I don't know on how that will all come into play. And then you'll have way more information as to how that's going to affect us and go forward.
Thank you for that. Thanks for the question and the answer. Any other questions, comments, concerns with the motion? Okay, we'll call for a vote. I'm going to make sure that we clearly define who's voting for and who's voting against. So I'm calling for the folks in favor of the motion at this time. And opposed, and the motion is carried. Thank you very much. Great demonstration of democratic vote. So we've covered off the Northeast Caucus. We have one more item on the correspondence to look at. We have got an invitation from Municipal Affairs Minister Schultz. Anyone from our council can arrange to have a meeting with Minister Schultz during the Alberta Municipalities event. And they are requesting that we would send that by February 10th of this year. So when is the AM event again? Do we know the approximate dates? Is it in March? March or April? Yeah, so I don't know, did all of council get a copy of this invitation? So I don't think we need a formal motion for that, do we?
Mr. Mayor, no, it's just do you want to book a meeting? And we have to have that in by February 10th, which is prior to the next council meeting.
Yeah, and there's some guidelines
Yeah.
on putting that forward. So just wanted to make sure I draw that to everybody's attention. Is there anyone from our council planning on going to Alberta Municipalities event?
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor?
Anybody else coming?
I'm thinking about going. I just need to know the date and then see if I can line it up with my boss. That's
29th to 31st. Yeah.
okay.
It says on there.
Great, thank you. And that's it for correspondence and information items that I have. Does anybody else have anything correspondence and information? No? Then I'll be looking for a motion to go out of the public session because the next item on our agenda is a closed session. Councillor Wayne,
I make a motion to go out of public session.
thank you for that motion. And anyone opposed to that motion? And the motion's carried. Now I